Yeah. So just to give you an overview of what this event is. So every month we have this feature launch where we talk about the new features that we worked on in the previous month. And then we basically talk about the value addition that we've been doing in the system. And we give a demo for it and show you how the feature works. So if you guys are interested in it, you can ask your CSMs to get that turned on the instance, and then you could start using the feature as well. Okay. So just before I proceed, I would like to also explain the logistics of this event. That is, you have to keep I'll ask everyone to keep your mics at mute at all times. And if you guys have any questions during the session or even after the session in the question and answer round, you guys may type it in the chat window, and we'll be answering it either throughout the session or at the end when we'll be taking any questions. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, just to give you a recap of what happened in our last webinar, is that we talked about some exciting new features. We introduced Salesflo Pulse in the last webinar. It was a dynamic reporting engine. We talked about it. We gave a detailed demo of how it worked. We talked about a web app feature, and then we displayed how what new features we're introducing in our mobile application. Okay, yeah, so the mobile application features were explained, and a demo was also given for it. Okay, so this is just to give you a recap of what happened in our previous webinar. Okay, so moving forward, we basically give you a picture of how our innovation pipeline looks like. So 5th September is what we have worked on in this month. 5th October is what we will be working on, and so on for the next 2 months. We display our innovation pipeline, but the 5th October and the 5th basically future pipelines are subject to change. And this is just to give you a rough idea of what we are working on and what we will be announcing in the future releases. But that is also subject to change and prioritization. Okay. So moving forward, if I talk about today's agenda, that is, we'll be only talking about the web application features this time, and we will be talking about one of the major features that we've launched, which is going to be a lengthy one, and followed by two features that are minor in nature. So yeah, so that is the agenda for today. We'll first start off with the minor features, and then we'll move on to the extensive feature in the later part of the session. Okay. So if I talk about the first feature, that is claim approval hierarchy engine. So those of you who have been using our claim approval claim mechanism would know that we've got a dynamic hierarchy where you can set levels, and you can set levels for, and then you can assign user designations at particular levels, and they will be able to approve accordingly, right? But this time we've introduced value-based claim approvals. That is, at every level, you can also define n value for that level, and only claims that are that are falling in that value range will be going to that user level. So Zoha will be giving you a detailed demo of Zoha or Shark will be giving you a detailed demo of how the feature will be working. So I'll hand over the session to them. Okay, over to you guys.
All right. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So, like someone mentioned, we've been working on the dynamic approval hierarchy of claims. For those of you who don't know, we have an approval hierarchy for claims that once a claim passes through, it has to go through specific users, and after the approval, we can submit the claim. So what we have been working on is different clients and different companies have different processes of approvals for claims. So what we are doing is providing our users with a dynamic way to set their approval hierarchies. And as you can see over here, let me take you through the screens. If you go to system setting and you go to claim setting, and claim setting, we have an approval tab. In approval tab, you do have the option to set the approval hierarchy according to the dynamic engine that we have provided. So over here, you can see that we have set approval levels as we had before, and you can set it to 1 or 2 or however you like. Furthermore, what we have added this time is these three options that you can have value based in none, all, or last level. So as you can see, I have a claim over here where I have 3 levels. What I can do is I can add value based over here in these 3. And if I want, I can also go to the last level. So the last level is a bit complex, so I'll go over this in a bit more detail. So what we have here is that in the last level, uh, our approval hierarchy works in that the claim goes to level 1 and level 2. And on the last level, it goes to based on the value of the claim. So let's say if I set it to 2, now in this case, our approval claim approval will go through level 1 and level 2, and in level 3 we have 2 furthermore sub levels. So it will either go to the first sub level or the second sub level based on the value. So to make it more dynamic, what we do have here is that we have introduced stepwise approval. So in case you don't have stepwise approval, in that case, what will happen is that the claim will go through level 1, level 2, and based on your value, it will go into either sub level 1 or either sub level 2, not in both, but just one based on the value. So let's say I turn this on, and now what we are having is, as the name suggests, stepwise. Our claim will go through level 1, level 2, and based on their value, it will go to level sub level 1 of level 3 and sub level 2 of level 3. So this is how the last level works. Furthermore, we have designations over here. You can set designation like area manager, finance, and you can set the users as well who will be able to view the claim. So just to give the power to the user and give them the experience that they can set their approval hierarchy based on their requirement and how they like it to be, they have the option to play around with the whole approval engine, and they can proceed their claims however they like. Back to you, Saman.
Okay. Thank you, Sharik. Okay, so I'll reshare my screen. Yeah. So moving on to the next part, that is invoice return with FOC. So those of you who have been using our system would know that we had invoice-wise returns in SDR. Recently we launched it, but they weren't catering FOCs. So now we have incorporated free of cost units as well in the return screen. So we will be giving you a detailed demo of how that will be working. So I'll be handing over the session to Sharik to give the demo for this. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, coming to our invoice-based SDR FOC implementation. So as someone said that in our current system, we recently introduced invoice-based SDR, and we did not have the functionality of adding FOC currently in our current system. But before this, before introducing invoice-based SDR, we had a older version of SDR, which a lot of clients are still using. And we call it in our layman terms and manual SDR. So what we do have in that is that user have all the option to manually enter all the discounts and or FOC if there is, but to maintain restriction and authentication of our whole SDR module, we have also introduced invoice-based SDR. So what we have in invoice-based SDR is that when you raise an SDR, you have to also input a invoice with it, and with the invoice number, all the returns and the SQs and even the FOCs discounts are fetched automatically from the invoice, whichever the order booker is returning or the shop is returning. So coming to the portal, what we have here is that we have the screen of stock return request. As you can see, I've already made one to save time. We can go to stock return approval, and let me show you simple. Right, so I have put in the filters, and what we have here is an example of an invoice-based SDR with FOC. So this invoice,
Tariq, your screen is not visible.
is it not? Let me reshare my screen. Oh, all right. How about now?
Yep.
Right, thank you. So yeah, so over here I've put in all the filters, and I've proceeded with selecting my SDR. In the approval screen, what you can see over here is this particular invoice had an FOC attached to it on the time of purchase. So similarly, on the screen, you have the option of a separate grid for FOC as well. What you have to do is select the FOC that you want, and in this case, since we have batch enabled as well, so we have batch visibility as well. Okay, which FOC and which batch is present in the invoice. Furthermore, the option we previously gave to our clients was that they have the option to change the quantities and before approving. And similarly, even in FOCs, we have the option to change the quantity. Right. So what you have to do is set the return type and our sub return type. Make sure you have selected the FOC that you want to proceed in the settlement, and just give it an approve. So I'm going to change my screen, but let me share my screen again. All right. So what we have here now is once we have approved the SDR, we can go to settlement. Let me look up for that SDR that I've just approved. Here it is. So you can see over here that in the settlement screen, you have a separate label for FOCs and all the information required with it. So we have also given the option that you can set in the settlement screen as well, and in the grid as well, the units and the quantities of sound and damage as well. So you can change it up. Let me put this 5. Or do make sure that the whole quantity of the return is maintained over here. It could be less even, but not greater than that. And you can settle this as here. So, all right. So furthermore, with this, we have also added visibility for our reference invoice in our reports as well. You can go to reports. You can go to reports, inventory reports, and in inventory reports, you can go to SDR reports. So SDR edit on, and you can see you have an option over here, show SDR reference invoice. So by ticking this, you can have the visibility of reference invoices in your reports as well. Let me proceed with generating. What is my screen visible? The report. Let me stop and share my screen again. Here you go. So as you can see in SDR summary reports, we have a column for SDR reference invoice numbers as well for all the invoices that were added when raising the SDR. So that's about it from my side. Someone.
Yeah, I'd just like to add something, Saman. Right. So there, like as Sharik showed you guys, both the claim approval hierarchy and both invoice-based SDR. So we've also been talking about this in the previous webinars as how we've continuously built on previously made features. So just to add a little bit how we had our claims hierarchy in the first place. तो पहले हमारे पास कोई claim type wise hierarchy नहीं थी. Then we introduced the claim type wise hierarchy. After that, we built on, so there was hierarchy for all, then we built on the claim type-wise hierarchy, then we built on the value-based type-wise hierarchy for claims. So now we have a dynamic engine for the entire approval hierarchy for claims. Similarly, for invoice-based SDR, we, as Sharik mentioned, initially just had a normal SDR mechanism where you raise an SDR from an app or raise a manual SDR from the web application. And then as you go through the process, आपका ना बहुत ही manual streamlined process था. So what we introduced was there was an invoice-based SDR जिसमें हमने कहा कि everything will be picked up from the invoice. That is, जो sold out items हैं, only those will be returned, and no other items that are not present on the invoice to maintain the sanctity of the inventory will be returned. So there have been continuous improvements built on the features that are existing or already there थे. So we'll continue to do so for both of these applications. For most of you who are using the old SDR, we will encourage that you connect with your account managers and talk to them regarding how can you move on to that feature. For claims hierarchy, some of the clients have already started using that hierarchy, but again, I'll encourage that you guys talk to your account managers as to how fast you could move on to that particular feature, as we feel that it'll create a great value addition for you guys. Over to you, Saman.
Thank you, Zoha. Okay, so now we'll move on to the last feature that we have to talk about today. And that is our order booker salary and incentive calculator. Now, this is something that we've basically relaunched. So initially, we had launched a very basic salary and incentive calculator. But then this time, what we've done is we sat with a lot of customers, and then we, did some requirement gatherings with them, and we talked about how different criteria they have to calculate their order booker salaries. So now we've come up with a very robust invoicing and incentive calculator, and which consists of 5 different modules. That is, one is a basic salary calculator, then you can create your own custom slabs. There is also variable salary calculator. There is an approval mechanism for the salary, and at the end, you get to see the payroll of the order bookers. So this is going to be one lengthy demo. So Ali Shujat will be giving you the demo for this feature on how you can use it, how you can get started with it. So yeah, over to you, Ali.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. So I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
So we start off with going into our settings. Under settings, we can go down into our system settings. And then under system settings, you can see we now have a salary and incentive setting bar. So you will have to, so anyone interested in this feature can talk to their respective customer success managers, and then they can guide them through the onboarding process. But I'll just show you a quick demo of what the settings entail. So you start off by enabling the salary and incentive setting. So once it's turned on, you will see more of the options as listed here. So the first one is order booker leaves. So different customers have the requirement of giving order booker leaves based on a yearly basis. So maybe 20 leaves per year, or a per month basis, maybe 4 to 5 leaves per month. Right? And then once you've selected per year or per month, you can go ahead and enter the number of allowed leaves for the order booker. So as you can see, currently there are 4 leaves for an order booker per year. Next, we have the order booker basic salary based on. So we have per day and per month. So the idea is that per day salary is given to an order booker. And if the order booker is absent more than the days of the allowed leave. So for example, if there are 4 leaves that are allowed, on the 5th day, the per day salary of the order booker will be deducted. And if per month salary is selected, then for each working day that the order booker is not attending to his duties, will the salary be cut. And then this can further be explained in the info icon to the right. Next, we have our value KPIs, which can be based on either TP including GST or excluding GST, depending on what is used by the customer. And then lastly, we have our incentive on quantity is based on, so either you can choose cartons or you can choose tonnage. And then you can just go ahead and save this. So once you're done with your settings, you will see the salary and incentive module now showing in your top bar. So let's navigate to that. And as you can see, as someone mentioned, that we are providing a range of different components that customers can use to go all the way from managing the basic salaries, monthly salaries that order bookers have, all the way up to their variable salaries, which is based on their incentive for their target achievement, going on to salary approval through finance, and then finally a report which they can use to run their payroll. Okay. So this is our grid to start off with, and then we will go ahead and make a new basic salary rule, right? So over here, you can choose your national level, you can choose your region, and then your distributor type. And then let's go ahead and choose a distributor and select your month and year. Now over here, you can see that we have different components over here. So let's go ahead and choose attendance. So what this does is basically provides you with 2 different options, whether you can mark attendance for order bookers based on their visits per day or productive calls per day. Right. So we are providing the option of an AND rule or an OR rule. So as many of you might know that, for example, if we choose the AND rule and we select visits per day and productive calls per day, this means that for the number of visits and the number of productive calls that you will assign to the order booker, he will have to complete those all together, both of them, since it's an AND rule, only then will the attendance be marked. If, for example, there's an OR rule, then either if the visits per day or the productive calls that have been defined in the sheets are both fulfilled, only then will the attendance be marked for that order booker. Then we can go ahead and select medical, and we can select TAD, right, which is your travel allowance or your daily allowance. Now, again, we provide 2 different options. You can learn more at the info bar. But the idea behind a fixed monthly basis and a fixed daily basis is that fixed monthly will be given to the order booker despite any leaves that he may take. So for example, you get a monthly budget for medical, and on a daily basis, for example, if you're getting money for fuel, that would not be reimbursed because it is done on a daily basis rather than a monthly basis. So this value would be cut if an order booker takes a leave. Right? So let's head quickly into the salary component, because For example, if you would like to add more components over here, you can just head into your salary component. And this provides you a list of different components that you could add into your basic salary. So for example, attendance, medical, TADA, T1 and T2 are all active and were showing up in the basic salary rule. So you can go ahead, add another component. You could name this component webinar, for example, and add a new salary component. Right. So now that it's been added, you can go back. You can see it in your grid as active. So once you go back to making a salary rule, you can see that a new component has been activated. So you, again, this can be fixed on a monthly basis and a daily basis. Okay, so you could go ahead, once you've chosen all of these, you can go ahead and download the Excel. So for the sake of keeping this as short as possible, I've downloaded the sheet. So I will just show it to you. So the month is 9/20/22, and you have your national level, region, distributor, app user, and then we go on and we can see that we have over here your app user code, right? And then the basic salary per day. So you might be wondering why this is already pre-filled. This is pre-filled because when an order booker app user is defined, there will be a field which asks for the basic salary of that order booker. So that will be depending on whether you choose per day or per month in the settings that we saw earlier. So as you can see, per day was selected and 1,000 has just been given as an example, right? And then we can go ahead and see that productive calls. So the attendance criteria that we are setting is both for visits per day and productive calls per day. And the rule that we are applying is an AND rule, which means that for an order booker's attendance to be marked, he will have to complete 5 visits per day and at least 1 productive call for his attendance to be marked. Right. Moving on to the others category, these are where our different components are going to be coming over here. So we have medical per month. So this is 5,000. So this is the medical that the order booker will get despite any leaves. And then we have TADL per day. So this could be, for example, fuel allowance or a meal allowance that some might give. And we can also add an internet allowance, anything else, maybe a SIM or bike maintenance, any components that any client would like to add. Right. So we can go back to our screen, simply go upload, choose your file and click upload. Right. So over here, once you've uploaded, your new basic salary rule will generate and will be part of the new grid. Okay. Then moving on to salary adjustment. So the idea behind salary adjustment was that a lot of the times order bookers may have more than or less than the actual salary that they are getting. It could be less in the case that they've taken a loan from the distributor or from the company and they're paying off in smaller increments, or the fact that the distributor is giving out a bonus for maybe excellent performance for the month. So that would be an extra added bonus on top of their already basic salary. Right. So we've given the provision so that customers can add or subtract any adjustment amount to the basic salary. Okay. So let's go ahead and add a new adjustment. We select the basic salary rule for which we would like to add this. Select the distributor. And then we have our list of order bookers. Right? So we can go ahead, choose our order booker, choose the month for adjustment. You can choose an amount. So like I mentioned, it can either be positive, so plus 1,000 for a bonus, or minus 1,000 for a value that the order booker needs to return. Right? And then you can just add a reason, and then you can add your adjustment. Right? So it has been added to your grid. Okay, so minus 1,000 loan from distributor for this month. Okay, so now this was basically everything regarding the basic salary rule. So we will now be heading into the variable salary rule of the salary and incentive module. But before that, all clients who would want to use this need to go through a prerequisite, which we will have to see under distributors and then app users. Under app users, we are now providing a new section called app user classification. So you would have to click on this, and this basically provides you with the ability of dividing or segregating your order bookers. So after our research in the market, we realized that a lot of order bookers' salaries are based on the channels that they are servicing. A lot of order bookers maybe are more experienced, so they get paid more, or maybe their slabs are different. There could be a variety of reasons. So what app user classification does is that it allows order bookers to be segregated into different groups according to however the client wishes, right? So simply we can go ahead, add new app user classification. So this could be webinar, for example, and we can go ahead and add it. Right, so we've added in app user classification, and as you can see, it is now visible over here. So for existing clients, we would obviously want this to be done all at once. So we can go into update app user info, select app user. We can scroll down and we can see app user classification. Once we click on this, you can download a sample CSV. And against the app user code, you can put in the app user classification code, and our system will map these. Okay. So now we can head back. Once we've completed this, we can head back to the salary and incentive module. Right. And let's head straight into Slab Maker. Okay, so Slab Maker is basically providing our clients with the ability to dynamically make different slabs for which they will be dispersing their incentives on, right? So if we go ahead and add a new slab, right, we can see we have a slab code, and then we can have a slab name. So let's go with webinar, and then we are going to be assigning this new slab to the app user classification. So in the dropdown, we can see that we've created all of these different app user classifications. So we can choose webinar. And the idea is that when you are assigning a variable salary rule based on different app user classifications, the slab would be assigned automatically, right? So we have our slab type either as percentage or range. So percentage would basically mean that if you have 50% target achievement, if you have 60%, and then you have 80%. So this would mean that if an order booker was to achieve 50% of the target that has been assigned, then the order booker would get that amount of incentive. Same for 60 and then for 80. Then let's move into ranges. So ranges, like the word suggests, provides a range for which order bookers can have their incentives based on their target achievement. So let's go ahead with, let's say 50, and then let's go with 80, right? So what 80 does is basically, since the range of 80 ends over here automatically, we can see that pre-filled 80.1 is going to be pre-filled in the next range. And then we can go ahead and do this as 90. And then again, the range 90.1 starts from the next. And we can go ahead and put 100 over here. Now, it may be the case that if an order booker was to overachieve, then 100, if you want to go beyond 100, you can just add a percentage. So as you can see, 100.01 starts over here. You can go ahead and put in 110. So this is the percentage based on which your slab will be calculated. So you can just go ahead and add your slab, right? Once your slab has been added, this will be assigned to an app user classification. We can then move on to finally making our variable salary rule, right? So let's head into that. We can go ahead and add our variable salary rule. And now, as with the basic salary, we select this, we select our region, and we select distributor type, select our distributor, and month for which we want to set our variable salary rule, and then select all the KPIs that we wish to include in our variable salary rule. So let's go ahead and take 4 of the most common. So as you can see, over here, we have our KPIs. We have then 2 options, either hit or miss or slab. So either of these, the idea behind it is basically hit or miss means that you give a certain range or a certain percentage of target achievement to an order booker, let's say 90%. And if that 90% is achieved, so even if it is 90.01 of the target achievement, the order booker will receive that incentive. If you select slabs, then each app user classification in the distribution will be assigned the slab we had previously assigned in the Slab Maker. Right. So these slabs, as you may recall, was 50 to 80, 80 to 90, 90 to 100. Right. So slabs like this will be available over here, whereas we can keep other KPIs to a hit or a miss. Right. And then we can just go ahead and download the Excel. Now, the downloaded Excel will look something like this, right? Where you have your national region distributor code, app user code, but this time we will also be seeing our app user classification code and our app user classification description, right? So this is one of the app user classifications that we had previously defined. So let's go ahead and see that we have our 4 different KPIs. We have strike rate, outlet productivity, bill productivity, and SKU per bill. Now this, so as this is a test instance right now, just made for the demo, we don't have the targets available right now, but these targets will be fetched from the order booker targets that you will be including in the system. And then you can see that as we had defined slabs, we have 2 different slabs for the target achievement. So for example, you are going to be filling the incentive right over here. So let me just show you that if the target achievement falls in the range of 40 to 50%, the order booker will get 1,000 rupees incentive. If, for example, it's 50.1 to 60, it would be 1,500. If 60 to 70, we can go ahead and add 2,000. And then for our final 80 to 100, we can put that as 2,500 rupees of incentive. And same would go for your outlet productivity. And since bill productivity and SKU per bill, these were set as hit or miss, you will only be adding the incentive over here. So we are going to go back into the web portal. And once you've set the salary rule, this will automatically start calculating all of your basic salary and variable salary for all the order bookers. And then once the adjustments have been put in, once all the calculations have been made on the web end, at the end of the month, on the 2nd of every month, it will go and fall into salary approval subsection, right? So over here, this is going to be open to the different finance divisions for our customers, where they will be able to choose a distributor and they will be able to choose a month and then apply the filter. Right. So once you've loaded this, okay, there we go. So once you've loaded this, you will see that you have your distributor and you have the option to download and upload your Excel. So let's go ahead and download this. We will get something of this sort. So over here, you can see that we have all of our order bookers, app user, their CNIC number, mobile number, their app user classification. And then we have divided the approval stage into 2 parts. We have basic salary and we have the incentive part. So basic salary is going to show you the number of attendance that the order booker has throughout the month, right? And then we have the basic salary earned, which we earlier saw was 1,000 rupees per month. And then we have our medical, we have our TADA, and then these are 2 different subcomponents that we've added to the book, right? And then moving on to our incentive. So for example, we have our target as 34, achievement is 36. So for an overachieving target, the incentive earned was 159. So again, these are just numbers we've put in for the sake of the demo. Of course, once you are onboarded, these values are going to be fetched from the system directly, right? So again, we have our strike rate, we have our outlet productivity, bill productivity, SKU per bill, volume, net sale, right? And all of this is going to be calculated. And this also shows a column for adjustment. So for example, we added 1,000 rupees for one order booker, negative 5,000 for another order booker, maybe to pay off a phone or something. So all of these adjustments will also be fetched from the system. Now, as you can see, these grayed out columns means that the finance department for each order booker has the power to actually change any of this. So if I was to change this value from 0 to 50, this would be allowed, right? But for example, if I was to choose basic salary, it wouldn't let me because this would have to be done through our system. Right? But over here, the finance department is going to have full authority to change either any portion of the basic salary or any portion of the variable incentive salary. Okay, so this can be based on the incentive earned and also can change any adjustments as they wish, right? And then we go ahead to our subtotal basic. So this is only for the basic salary portion of the rule, right? And then we have our subtotal for our incentive, right? So adding this up, we have our grand total. So if I was to say add 118, right? This would turn our grand total into 2000, right? So this is basically the idea where salary approval will allow finance departments to overlook different distribution order booker salaries and then actually publish them for reporting. So if we go back, we are going to go ahead and upload the Excel. So we choose our Excel file. We're going to go ahead and upload that. And once you've done that, you will see a publish icon. So what this publish means is that you are satisfied with the salary approval, you've gone through it, and you are ready to publish it to reporting, right? So the thing is, before you publish, what you can do is you can download an Excel. For example, you made changes for 4 to 5 order bookers, uploaded that, and then you realized you wanted to make changes for another 2 order bookers. So what you can do is, without publishing, so before you publish it, you can go ahead, change the 2 order bookers adjustments, add or subtract, however you may like, and then again re-upload this Excel file. So once you re-upload it, it will overwrite the previous file and will save the most recent file that you have uploaded, right? And then once you've done that, once you're satisfied, ready, you can go ahead and publish this. So you can see our distributor, month, and we go ahead and publish this. And so we've successfully published. We head into our salary report. And salary report now, we can just go through all of these filters. Choose our distributor, and then for the month, it was June, and we can go ahead and generate the report. And then you can see this is a downloadable report. And then the idea is that you would have a same, basically the same layout as the salary approval sheet, right? So this will be final once a report has been published. Once it has gone under the salary reporting section, it cannot be changed. So please be wary that once salary approval has been completed and once it has been published, it will go into reporting and will no longer be able to be changed, right? So that was all from my end. This was a feature that we were really excited about, and I hope all of you are interested and reach out to your respective CSMs accordingly.
Thank you, Ali, for the detailed demo. I'm sure it was a lot to absorb for you guys, but you were able to follow through the whole session. Let me reshare my screen. Okay. So basically, this these were the features that we wanted to talk about in this webinar. Just to give you an idea and reverting back to our upcoming innovations on 5th October, what all you can expect, and then subsequently on 5th November and on 5th December. This is what tentatively our innovation pipeline looks like. We do fine tune it before any releases. If there is anything else that is prioritized, we do tend to change it, and this is still subject to change, but just to give you an idea of what you guys can expect in the next releases. Okay, so with that, we will be moving to our question and answer session. We do have a lot of questions in the chat window. If we can go through them one by one. just to discuss it in the forum. Okay, so Bilal had a question. While putting the return, what rate will be applicable? That is, rate of invoice is different from current rates. Okay, so basically on return, if you're placing in a return, whatever value is, whatever rate is mentioned on the invoice, at the same rate, the return will also be marked. Okay, so the next question is it possible to put on salary bulk adjustment? Okay, so basically, currently we don't have it. We don't have a bulk adjustment feature. This is because we consciously did not, make it. Since adjustments is something that, you don't tend to use regularly. But we did get this feedback as well before. We will incorporate it in our upcoming sprints. Okay,
Yeah.
Aswan, if you can.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. So we got a couple of questions from salary and incentive module. I think the first question was regarding the salary adjustment in bulk. So as you know that adjustments are not very regularly made for the order bookers. There are only few scenarios in which we have to make certain adjustments in the salary. So deliberately we have given it as in form. We haven't given in the bulk upload or CSV. However, in future, if there are certain cases where there are a lot of adjustments that needs to be done in a particular month, we can definitely add that. But currently, we don't have that. The next question regarding salary was that the basic rule we have to add every month for every app user or once for every app user. So basic salary rule is created on monthly basis. However, we do have a duplicate option on the basic salary rule grid. You can simply right click and duplicate the same rule. So you don't have to redefine the same rule for the next month. So we have the duplicate feature in the web panel. Now coming on to the next question. So it is regarding what is the weight type of target in Slab Maker. Okay, so slabs are basically created on fixed percentages or in ranges, and the percentage achievement depends on the KPI. So you can create slabs for outer productivity, you can create slabs for value target, you can create slabs for volume target. So it depends on the KPIs, of course, but slabs are defined in percentages, not in whole numbers. Okay, now. Yeah, I think we have the last question, which is regarding the supervisor. So currently, this module works for order bookers only. However, moving forward, we are working on the top-down target model as well, in which we will incorporate supervisor layer as well, and also the layers beyond supervisor. For example, RSM, TSMs, NSMs, we will be covering that moving forward. We have that in our plan. Yeah. So I think these were the questions related to salary module.
Okay. Should you provide the option of append and unassigned stores in the BGP module? Okay, so we have covered the salary and incentive questions. Okay. Fazan has, should you provide the option of append and unassigned stores in the PGP module? Okay, so we have marked PGP module revamp as our upcoming item that we need to work on. We will be revamping the whole of PGP module, and we will be announcing its update soon. So we have noted down your suggestion. We will keep this in mind to incorporate this change as well. Okay, so do you have any other questions regarding what we presented? Any suggestions that you would like to give? Okay. So I think that's it. We will be, as standard procedure, we will be circulating, the session video as well, and we will be sharing the presentation of the webinar as well. And we will also be circulating a survey for feedback. To take out some time and fill in the survey form so that we can also improve ourselves and make this platform further better for you guys. Okay, so stay tuned for the next webinar. And with that, I'd like to say thank you, and thank you for joining the session. See you all in the next webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.